worldwide.
I just want to say, you guys are doing a great thing. It's such an uncomfortable topic to talk about, especially for a guy, young guys in their early 20s. And, I'm glad that, I could tune in and, listen to you guys.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the broadcast. Phone number is 888-659-3727. It is great to be here on a Friday. Had a fire drill at the studio today. So I had warned Joe that was going to happen, and so we started a little late. Not that we're not late every week, but at least we have a reasonable excuse this week for not being on time.
And I had a bit of a technical difficulty afterwards, but got that worked out. So a little bit of both sides responsible. Okay, it's all good. How are you?
I honestly, hold on. Let me see if I can fix this bullshit.
It's all good. How are you?
Hold on.
Lost all sound on my end. Oh, yeah. Okay.
You lost all sound because I turned off my microphone. How's everything on my end? Everything is, it's A-okay, brother. I really, I can't complain. It's great. My old school radio engineer is back in town. He's no longer living out in the desert. So if I need anything hooked up and fixed very quickly, he's within a 15-minute drive, which is fan-fucking-tastic. Did a little bit of an upgrade with some rewiring. I was going to use that digital board. I think I told you guys that I purchased, and realized that we couldn't hook it up with Andrew Zarian. And then when he came over, he's like, "Look, man, you got to stick old school analog. We can fix some of the the hums and this and that, but with the setup that you have and the fact that you guys are taking calls, which really no one does on the internet, this is the only way to go unless you invest in a completely higher end digital radio system, which is going to be $25,000 for what? So I can do the show with Joe on the weekends? Fuck that.
Thanks.
Shit.
Don't need to do this shit. I see Joe enough. Once a week is enough, man. There we go.
I gotta get this lighting better too. To get the gray to come out in my hair more. I don't know what it is. Just can't seem to make that happen. But anyway, guys, this is the hair loss show.
Jeff Saffron in the chat room. Good to know Spence can get his tape machine finally fixed.
It's an 8-track, brother.
8-track, baby.
Get straight.
I like
old school cards. Dude, honestly, when we go through the equipment, and this is an old school radio guy, working radio, Westwood One, CBS, took care of transmitters and all the stuff that most people don't understand how technical and difficult broadcasting was. And he's like, "Look, this is an old school setup. This is classic. No one has this anymore.
Yeah.
Why do you want to fuck with it? Just make it work." And he's right. All right, guys.
He's saying that because he doesn't know how to set up the new stuff. He's an old school radio guy.
No, actually, well, yeah, kind of true, but no, he has a board for me that I may purchase that is not this Mackie type of hybrid that we had to create to make this into a radio station, but a real radio board, slightly used. So I'm considering it. It's a little pricey, but it'll look really cool, and it'll make a lot of things easier. I'll have less wiring. Less
wiring is good.
So I'm considering that. But guys, you don't give a shit about any of this. You're here to learn about, or to either gossip about, or to speak about, or to learn about hair loss and just dealing with hair loss and the reality of living life as a hair loss sufferer in the 21st century, and in a time where, sadly, the vast majority of information that's being spewed out there, where we get our information today, which is the internet and through social media, is utter bullshit. Now, Joe named the show. I don't even know what you named it, but I saw the troll that you have on there on your thumbnail.
I'm pretty proud of that one, actually.
Yeah, I like
I'm pretty proud of that one. Yeah. The title of the show is Hair Loss Misinformation. And it ties, it actually happens to tie in with the idea of internet trolls at the same time, because in many cases they go hand in hand. And I kind of came up with the idea for the premise of the show today, because this has been on my mind. It's always been an issue that we've had to deal with as professionals in the industry, that clinics have to deal with, as far as the truth about what they do, for better or for worse. But unfortunately, patients have to deal with this as well, or people that are looking for reliable information. And I'm the last person to say that the internet isn't necessary, because obviously it is. But that's how I got my first step, took my first step into being repaired, and eventually into being able to sit here in front of you and talk about this stuff. So obviously there's a lot of good that comes from people sharing information. But the problem is the way that this information is being shared. And I've been dealing with I've been observing some different platforms and how they spread information for others to consume when it comes to making their decisions. And I'm not going to get into talking about where these people are, or where these platforms are, which platforms they are, because that's not important at this time. But just to talk about this, there are things that I find being said. I won't go into motivations or anything like that, because it's all conjecture. But what I do see out there are some individuals. These are anonymous persons, by the way. None of these people would ever have the courage to actually share their real name, to share their background or anything like that, like we do, like Spencer Kobren does, like Spencer Stevenson does, like I do, like so many other people that are in the public eye talking about this. They hide behind their anonymity because they feel protected, they feel safe, and that's fine. But when it comes to sharing information as if it's the gospel, and then shitting on others that have decided to be public about who they are, that have experience in this industry, those are the people you need to be careful about. And just this past week, there are a couple of comments being said online that really blew me away. The first one, someone was talking about, it was a woman asking for information or guidance from the quote unquote veterans of this platform about what she should do for a hair transplant. And one of these revered individuals on this particular platform.
When you say, isn't the word revered? Am I losing my mind?
What did I say? Revered? Revered?
Yeah.
Revered.
Revered.
Yeah, revered. Sorry. Thank you.
I'm just, whatever. Just trying to help.
He was, he immediately went into this diatribe about how most women are getting FUT and how it's a mistake. And he goes on to talk about it. But I thought to myself, where does someone get the idea that most women having hair restoration surgery are getting FUT? And I actually did respond on this one. And the fact of the matter is, and this is, and this is what I'm talking about. This is just common sense by anyone that's been paying attention. You don't even have to be a professional in the industry. If you're paying attention to the industry and what's going on as far as, what clinics are offering their patients, there are very few clinics on this planet performing FUT, period. And far more clinics are offering FUE across the board without even offering FUT at all than has ever existed. And for this person who's supposedly an expert that people look up to say that more women are getting FUT now than FUE, they're getting strip surgery as opposed to FUE, is, I don't even know how to describe just how wrong it is. It was very bizarre to me. And that was the initial comment, the initial piece of misinformation that I thought of when I came up with the idea for today's show, because it is shockingly inaccurate coming from someone that's supposed to be fairly knowledgeable and smart about this industry.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to ask you, you don't want to say who the person is or you don't know who the person is, but I mean, what makes them fairly knowledgeable? And the reality is, as far as hair transplant surgery is concerned for women, it would actually be wonderful for those who make good candidates for hair transplant surgery if more women were offered the option of FUT. Mm-hmm. The problem is they're not anymore. And, you know, when women have hair transplant surgery, if they make good candidates, one thing about a woman's hair is, you know, total volume over scalp is incredibly important. The back of their scalp and the sides of their scalp, and having that that weight and that volume really helps to make up the entire head of hair in a woman. When you see 5,000 or 6,000 grafts being moved and these women's heads are being shaved, that density never returns. It is a palpable difference and change in the texture and the quality of their head of hair. And it usually doesn't equate into a fuller or much fuller, more realistic hairline design and head of hair, because so much hair needs to be moved in order for women to have the density that they once had or to match their current density. So,
well, when you sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So even to say that it's unfortunate, if that were true, and it's not, but even to say that it's unfortunate that more women are getting strips for FUE today, for hair transplant surgery today, A, you're right, that's incorrect. But B, anybody who's actually knowledgeable would say that's probably the best route when a woman is a candidate for hair transplant surgery.
Yeah, and you know when you look at ads for shampoos for women, I don't think that I've ever seen an ad for women's shampoo that didn't use the word fullness or volume when it comes to what they can expect with the outcome of using, you know, whatever product. That alone is testament to how important that is to women in order to feel like their hair is healthy, it's full, it's luscious, it's thick. That's what they want. Men, you know, if it looks dense, that's all they give a shit about. Like it's different for men. Like, yeah, they want it to feel full as well, but they just want it to look like it's thick, as opposed to actually feeling thick. That's why you know, these concealers have been so popular, and why they work so well for so many guys is, hey, if it looks like it's thick, then that's great. But I don't know. It just and to answer your question, what qualifies him as, you know, for me to say that he's a smart guy or he's knowledgeable? Well, it's because I do know that he watches the show, because a lot of what he's saying in this platform is stuff that it's almost like it's verbatim taken from the show or taken from one of my videos. And I know that this guy watches. So for him to say something like that, like, I know he's a smart guy, but at the same time, he comes up with stuff out of left field that makes me think he's just stupid. And it's really bizarre to see such a contrast in the way that this person can, you know, rationalize one thing but not another. It's really bizarre. And I have to actually, I know that part of the motivation for this, for the information he puts out, it's because he has been slighted in the past by a doctor that does perform FUT. He's not had FUT before, but you know, he's one of these FUE purists that think it's the only answer, which is another segue into another thing that someone's been talking about as far as FUE is the only way to get a natural hairline, because it wasn't until FUE that you could cherry pick finer individual single hairs. Absolute horseshit. Like, that is some of the worst misinformation that someone can hear when it comes to, the prospect of having a natural result that they'll find anywhere on the internet. It's not like hairlines suddenly became natural looking because of FUE. There's quite a few natural results that were pushed out from clinics that were performing FUT before FUE even became a thing. That's absolute horseshit to say that only FUE can provide a natural result. That is
Well,
like, I think about that.
It's even beyond.
And this guy, again, has been around for 15 years talking about this stuff. It's like there's some sort of motivation behind this.
He's been around for 15
blatant
years? Online?
Yeah, supposedly, yeah. But there's some sort of motivation behind this blatant misinformation that I can't quite figure out. Is he stupid? Is there some sort of motivation for steering people in a certain direction? I don't know. But this is the kind of misinformation that I was thinking of when I titled today's show. There's some flat out wrong information. Like, it's one thing to get things wrong because you kind of misunderstood something, but there is no misunderstanding here. This is blatant false information that's designed to mislead people. And I'm seeing it more and more, not just from this guy, but from a lot of people.
But I mean, do you really think that's blatant misinformation or disinformation, I should say, or is it just ignorant misinformation? The people kind of join these camps and it almost becomes cult-like. Look, we are, I don't give a shit, whatever people say about what I do, what you do. I mean, you have to deal with it however you deal with it. But I am essentially an aggregator of all of what goes on in this industry, including all the shit that happens to patients. And I do my best to provide the information that is provided to me through all these experiences, and also being on the inside and behind the scenes, and provide this information to consumers so that they have everything they need to make informed decisions. I'm in no camp, I always found it funny throughout my career that when I started to really, try to push FUE and have the physicians really take a look at this and take it seriously, my light's flickering. I got shit for that. Then when there was resistance from the majority of physicians and all of the physicians who, were in the industry, including those who were in the IHRS, they weren't adopting FUE right away. They were trying to experiment with it. They were trying to learn how to do it correctly. This was not a technique that was shared with the world. So people essentially had to reinvent the wheel of the Woods technique because Ray did not really share it the way in which he could have. Some people say should have, but whatever. So it took some time to get to a certain point. But never in my wildest dreams did I ever believe that FUE surgery would overtake and be the go-to surgery in this field. It makes zero logical sense. It's no sense. And anyone who says any differently is selling you a fucking bill of goods. Yeah. Yes, I mean, there's great FUE being performed. There are people who can move lots of grafts in a single session now, maybe not even dissect a lot of those grafts. But they're limiting patients, especially young patients, as far as how much hair can be moved and survive for a long period of time. And anyone who says differently is either lying to you or doesn't understand the basics of hair transplant surgery, the basics of donor dominance, the reason hair transplant surgery works the way in which it works, the reality of how much hair, finite donor hair, can actually be moved from a single human being. Sure, there are doctors out there that can move 10,000, 12,000 grafts in two days on your fucking head, and they can create punctate wounds that are, distributed in a way that, for some people, may give the distribution value of looking like nothing was really done. That's a possibility these days. There's a couple of guys doing it. But do those transplants last? Statistically, they can't. There will be anomalies. Guys who do very well on medication, guys who may have only progressed to a Norwood 4 in their lifetimes. But it's a bill of goods. And anyone who is just in the FUE only camp and promoting that on any platform, there's an agenda. It could be stupidity. It could be a misunderstanding of how, the physiology and how hair transplant surgery works, or it could just be plain marketing.
Well, this particular person I was talking about, I don't know what it is. I prefer to think that it's stupidity, because I'd hate to think that he's got some sort of arrangement with a clinic or clinics behind the scenes promoting, trying to promote FUE in general. I understand when people have their preferences, but to make shit up like that, like strange non-statistics, like more women are getting FUT than FUE. That doesn't even nothing about that even makes sense. Like, there's so few clinics performing FUT across the board. None of it just doesn't make sense. So it's frustrating to me to see such blatant misinformation, disinformation, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. These kinds of things shared by people that are anonymous. I do have an issue with people on different platforms that are looked at by others as being an authority and having some sort of experience in the industry or with the industry that most people don't have, but these people are anonymous. I see that as just being inherently dangerous, because you have no idea who these people are, and there is no accountability for what they're telling you. That's the big difference between someone like myself or like the Spencers or anyone else, where you see their face, you know their name. We're accountable to you guys and gals. Like, what we're telling you, it needs to be the truth. And that's why, things I'm saying today are the same things I was saying 10 years ago. Same thing with everyone else that's in the same position. But when you're asking questions, or when you're reading, commentary or information from anonymous persons on platforms that you already know they're questionable to begin with, like some of these, like Reddit, like no one looks at Reddit as being someplace that you can trust, like across the board. Like everyone goes into Reddit knows, okay, you got to take things with a grain of salt, or you hope they do. Because it is a cesspool of misinformation, for sure, especially when it comes to things like this.
They don't. This generation doesn't. I was trying to fix my lighting. I think I did. This generation doesn't understand it. And I have to say that even our generation, on the message forums, there were always the experts, the anonymous experts on the message forums that led people. I mean, guys who were, whether it was Dr. Go experts and all the happy horse shit that went on for years.
Yeah.
People ended up being harmed. That's just the reality of this industry. And part of me thinks, yeah, it's disturbing, but it's got to let that shit go, man. We could talk about it, of course, but it's like that's going to happen. They're going.
Well, I got to have something to talk about today.
No, I'm saying, but there's armchair experts in the field, and here's the thing about being an expert. Yes, we've been in the field for a long time. You've had 10 hair transplants or whatever, 9, 10 hair transplants. I've seen everything that you can possibly see in this industry. Everything that you can possibly see in this industry so far. Mm-hmm. I know the reality, the shortcomings of FUE, the reality of FUT, the fact that there's no perfect solution for anybody. People are going to have to make concessions if they want to keep their hair. That's it. It's not like, hey, how do I want to keep my hair. I don't want to go bald, but I don't want to take medication. I want to take something that's all natural that I just don't have to ingest, but maybe that can be shot across the room by my fiance through, a water pistol or whatever, And the reality is, there are many of you guys who are listening who are new. And guys, the phone numbers, call in 888-659-3727. Otherwise, we're going to go. The reality is that, I don't know if that life's too harsh now. I think it's okay. The reality is, is that there's a larger percentage of you guys and women than you would like to hear about that are not going to have any success in maintaining their hair. They're going to be also unsuccessful as far as having hair transplant surgery. They're not candidates. That is not knowledge that you want to know necessarily because you want the hope. But there are a percentage of people that are beyond hope, and they have to kind of just adjust to the reality that they're going to have to either shave their head or wear hair if they want to do something that's not going to damage themselves. These are people who may not do well on medication, have adverse side effects from medication, have such strong genes that, there's only so much medication that can do for them. These are people who never make great candidates for hair transplant surgery. But people don't want to hear that.
No.
So that's a reality that's not really talked about. And then there's the reality that hair transplant surgery is very limited. You're dealing, cute dog by the way, dealing with a moving target. You're dealing with a situation that you have no idea what the future holds. You're not just getting breast augmentation, which is difficult, and you have to maintain that as well, and there's complications involved. But it's a much more straightforward procedure. People don't want to hear that.
Doesn't have the nuance required.
Yeah, but people do not
they don't want to hear that.
Want to hear that. I'll tell you a brief story. I normally can't answer DMs, but I was contacted by a doctor, a young guy, who wrote. He posted something on one of my either a reel or a story, and he said, "Well, it's really not that straightforward. I went to a well-known doctor, and I got botched." And I was interested because this guy was an MD. And I responded to him, and I asked him to send pictures. And I think it helped him a lot because I was able to tell him, well, first of all, you weren't botched, brother. Luckily, he only had 1,700 or 1,800 grafts moved. The extraction sites were pristine. And the mosaic that was created, the pattern that was created for the extractions were great. Now, this guy has, he's young, not that young, mid-30s, but some of the hair loss is a little bit more aggressive. There may be a little bit of retrograde or at least some diminished caliber in certain areas of the donor. But the thing is, it's totally correctable. And this is not what you would call a botch job. This is what you would call being disappointed in your hair transplant procedure, not because he's seeing, and this is not to diminish the real disappointment at all. Surgery was not great. I mean, the outcome was not wonderful. He didn't get a lot of growth. But he was concerned about the placement of the grafts, some of the angles, whatever it is. Just judging from the images, it was all fixable. But I guess my point is, there are people out there who believe they made a decision. They thought they were, and this is a well-respected doctor he went to. They thought they were doing the right thing, did all their due diligence, and things didn't turn out the way they wanted to. And that's why I always tell people the current stats, and these are real stats, is that 2 7 out of 10 hair transplant patients today, and this is the market all over the country and around the world, range from being disappointed to disfigured. That means only 3 out of 10 patients are fucking thrilled with their initial hair transplant.
Yeah.
That's a reality that people have to understand. So when they're going on these social media platforms and there are people out there saying, well, this is why this is happening. And if you do this, this, and this isn't going to happen. That's not necessarily true. What you can do is you could help to mitigate some of the most of the disastrous outcomes. And then just keep your fingers crossed that you are someone who does well with surgery, things work out, and you're not going to be disappointed like this doctor was. But he actually believed that, and I definitely believe, I know that he told me that I laid his concerns, that he was botched. He wasn't. This guy is like one of the few guys who thinks he's botched that can actually be repaired pretty easily if he goes to somebody, and now he understands exactly what he needs.
That word is used too often, I think, in today's nomenclature, that I got botched, when that's not really the case. And I realize that botched is relative, and it can take on a lot of different forms. But generally, when one says they're botched, it means that to me, it means that they've been disfigured with, bad scarring, bad angulation, just something that looks like a terrible hair transplant, terrible outcome. When most of the cases I'm seeing are cases of maybe low growth, low density, but nothing that would stand out as being a bad surgery. Like someone wouldn't look at this person on the street and think, oh, that guy got messed up. That's not the way they look. It's simply a matter of going into, maybe going to a different clinic or something, but having another surgery to maybe fill in the areas that didn't grow so that they can be happier with the final outcome. Low growth issues isn't botched, not being botched. It's just the way I look at it. I mean, it's compared to 15 years ago. If someone got botched, it usually meant like the really wide donor scar, a centimeter wide donor scar, pluggy, misangled grafts going all over the place. It can still mean that today, but it's too commonly referred to being botched when it's simply a case of low density or maybe some patchiness, but it still looks natural. It's just not what the patient actually wanted as a final outcome. I get it, but the word botched, I feel, is being used too much in cases that don't apply.
You're absolutely right. I'm just reading the chat right now, and Carolina says that my audio is a bit muffled. Is it muffled, Joe? Or is it coming through? Not for you. I guess I'll find out during the recording.
Let me listen to the playback on the. Where is it?
Yeah, we had a few changes made, but I mean, I definitely think it's slightly different. I don't know if it's muffled or if it's just I don't have the highs up as high, but whatever. We'll figure it out. Guys, it's a call-in show, though. It's 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. We're live. It's a call-in show, and I'd like to take calls. I think Joe, he wanted to talk about something that is concerning to him. It's concerning to all of us. I've learned to live with the reality that most of the young guys out there are going to get fucked up. They're going to find the wrong information. They're going to go on Facebook groups and onto Reddit and to other places, and they're going to just
take the camera off me.
Join these cults. Sure. Join these cults and be a part of them for a while. And, everyone has their own ideology and understanding of the industry and their own experiences, especially if they're running these places. And that's just the way that it is. I mean, there's really not much we can do. 888-659-3727. Joe just had to run somewhere for a second. Looks like there was an emergent situation. Let's take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, Spencer. This is Dirk Diggler from a while years back.
Dirk.
Yeah, a New Yorker like you.
What's happening, brother?
Brooklyn.
How are you?
Hey, what's happening, brother? Good. It's good to see you guys are still around.
Can you believe it?
I'll get right to I can.
Yeah.
I can. You're pretty smooth, especially about hair. So I just wanted to recap. So I had a little transplant back 10 plus years ago in the front and been on Propecia, and my hair is doing beautifully.
Oh, that's great.
And I just wanted to say to you, and thank you, your audience, that I find the generics do not work. I think I told you about this a couple of years ago. I tried for like 6 months of generics, and they were very inexpensive. And I was on the brand name Propecia. I'm sorry, for finasteride, brand name Propecia.
Yeah.
And I was doing wonderfully. And then, my doctor said, try the generics. They're cheaper. And they were incredibly cheaper. But I started to regress after about 6 months of using it. I saw, and I just quickly went back to the brand name Propecia and sort of reclaimed back all of the hair that was, I was missing. So I just want to bring that to a point. I know you talk about that now.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. And there are a lot of people. I mean, there are people who do just fine on generics, depending on the generic and depending on the person. But,
sure. I wish I was one of them,
right.
Because it's so, and
cheaper.
the Propecia's gone up. It's so expensive. It's like no matter what coupons I get out there. And the other question I have real quick while I have you is, so I know that ProScar brand new, it's similar if you can just cut it up, but most doctors won't prescribe that. Is there a way to get that done or no? It depends.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of doctors. You're in New York. There are plenty of doctors who prescribe it. I mean, you might. I'm pretty sure like Bob Bernstein will prescribe it. I'm pretty sure, and there's a few others in New York who definitely.
It basically comes down to doctors that are in the hair restoration industry. They're more likely to prescribe it for you as opposed to like a GP. They don't know anything about hair loss, and so they don't understand the value of prescribing off brand, or not off brand, but like a hair loss specialist, like a clinic that deals with hair loss, they're more likely to prescribe ProScar as opposed to Propecia.
Gotcha. Okay, well that's good advice. I will go that route then. I know Bernstein's in New York, so I can kind of even touch base with him. Because my doctor was Dr. Prasad. I don't know if you know him, but he also does hair as well as
He's a big PRP guy.
Guys, I'm playing with my sound while I'm on the air live, so you let me know if it gets better or worse, by the way. But yeah, I do know him. He actually performed your hair transplant?
No. So I have a history. I'm like an experienced cat, so to speak.
All right.
So I'll give you some history. So initially, I don't know, about 12 years ago, Bosley did my my hair transplant in the front. I had some recession in the front.
All right.
And then after 10 years, I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago, pre-COVID, Prasad did my PRP. And so I think what's happened to me is that initially Bosley did the transplant, and then I went on Propecia, and my hair is doing unbelievably well, thank God. With the combination of that transplant and the Propecia brand name.
How old are you now?
And then I'm about 49.
49. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No, the hair is fantastic. I can't complain. I hear you guys say like hair greed, don't get too greedy on certain things and all of that. Yeah, it's true.
Good
But
luck.
it's been working for me. And then PRP came out, right, and all the advertisement on that and blah blah blah. And then I went to Prasad for that, and then he continued the prescription of Propecia. Do you get it? So I went from one kind of in Bosley. I had to really go back there anymore. Not that I didn't like the work, but so my last encounter with hair work, it was the PRP with Prasad. So is he someone I can go to about prescribing, for Proscar, or
I mean,
should I go?
he's been in the industry for a
Bernstein?
long time, and he definitely should be able to do that for you. I mean, you could certainly. I mean, he already has you as a patient, so there's no reason why you can't ask him.
Sure. Oh yeah, well that's sound advice. That's really great. That's great. Yeah. So well, thank you so much, guys. I won't keep you, but that's pretty much my story. And I'm sticking to it, but I do not like the generics. I really do not.
Well, again, there are people who do well on generics, and it's just the way that it is. I'm a brand person. I've just been doing it for so long.
Right. Yeah, I know you've always professed to be a sort of brand name whore. I think
right.
you use that term, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I follow you. Yeah. And I love the Propecia. I don't get any side effects. I've been on it for a long time. I've been on it, for probably 15 years. Yeah, in total. Yeah.
Well, dude,
and
it's always good to hear from an old time caller and someone who's been doing well. And it's good for the young guys to know that Again, I was just saying there are people who can't be helped, and then there are those who can. But it all is a matter of concessions. It's never just one thing that's going to help you. You've had a hair transplant. You've had PRP.
Right.
You've been on finasteride. This is a lifelong mission to keep your hair.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I as I tell my brother who's got a lot of brothers, I say a lot of hair loss, and I like your sentiment. You basically say, listen, if you I talk to my brothers, I don't know if I need it, I don't know if I want it. Then I always say to them, steal your term, I said, then you guys are winning. You don't have to get it. If you're comfortable cutting your hair down, don't look at me. I have a full set of hair, but it's been a long journey. But that's what I wanted, right?
100%.
My journey started, I was at a Yankee game in the Bronx, and an older friend of mine, he I said, hey, your hair looks good. I know that he was like 70-something at the time. And your hair looks really good. Oh, he said, I had a transplant. I said, oh, yeah, I was thinking about it, And he took a little stronger tack. He's a cool guy. He didn't pressure me. He's like, yeah, don't think about it. You should investigate it. Go investigate it. So that's how he kind of propped me. And I had the slight recession in the front, you know what I mean? And I said, and and Bosley was cool. They were like, hey, no, you may come in here and think you don't need it, and blah blah blah, but here we'll take some pictures and show you. They were really. I think you may know his name because I'm trying to go back years ago. I did it at the Bosley at the 99 Park Avenue in New York.
Yeah.
I think De Basio or something. Do you remember that name?
De Blasio? De Blasio is the mayor.
I think
De Basio.
I know he's the mayor, but.
I don't know.
Basio.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Listen,
so
all I can say
I know De Blasio is the mayor, but
you essentially lucked out. Let's put it that way. So you could have had.
No, they were.
You could have had a bad situation. You could have had bad techs. You could have had a bad surgeon. You got someone who at the time wasn't doing follicular unit transplants, but they were doing cut-to-size grafts. But around that time, there were a couple of Bosley physicians and clinics who were doing better jobs than globally, than Bosley globally, and there were people just like you who were satisfied. So that's good. So you lucked out.
Yeah, I know that there's probably a lot better. If I had it to do all over again, I would definitely go to Bernstein because he's right here in New York. I would have walked right into his office, would have saved up the extra money if needed or whatever. But and that's listening to your program and how you talked about Bernstein and the quality of his work, and XYZ. You know, I would have, not to knock Bosley. Don't get me
No, but
going there.
here's the
But
thing.
as-
You don't even have to think about that because you had a satisfactory result.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. And they were heavy marketing, right? It was like they were coming in my mail like every few months, right? The marketing was incredible. I'm talking about the Bosley folks, yeah. So, but
I'm
Well,
seeing
look,
some
the
issue. I
thing
don't know
about-
if it's on your end or my end, but I'm seeing some issue on the camera.
What's
yeah,
the
you were
issue?
saying, Joe?
Now it's gone. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, there's some people in the chat room that are shitting on Bosley right now, but you know, you had a good experience, and that's respectable. But I need to pose the question to the people in the chat room that are listening. If a good doctor starts working for Bosley, does that suddenly mean that doctor is no longer any good? And I say that because because there's a good doctor that started working for Bosley out in San Francisco. His name's Dr. Paul Rose. He's one of the OG natural results doctors from the early 2000s. I was just talking to him about someone, talking to someone about him earlier today. That's why I'm bringing up his name. The clinic doesn't make the doctor. The doctor makes the clinic. And when it comes to places like Bosley, you know, they've got, I don't know how many locations they have now, but, you know, they have done a lot over the past several years to up their game in order to compete with the competition, in order to move away from that stigma that they've created around themselves since you know the 1970s when L.E. Bosley first started the company. You know, I wouldn't go to them myself, but it doesn't mean that they're doing a bad job. They're not terrible across the board. They don't suck the way some people in the chat room are saying. They've actually upped their game, and I respect the efforts that Ken Washenik, who's the leader of Bosley, what he's done to improve things at the company. Do I agree with their marketing and how they present themselves? No. But even that has matured to where it's more responsible than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Sure.
How much more responsible? It's not, they're not sitting around and saying, yeah, you may or may not have a great result. No one does that. But I have more respect for them than I've ever had in the past. I don't put them up there as a company on the same level as some other outfits, but I think that if someone was to consider them, if someone was to present them as someone to consider, they shouldn't be dismissed out of hand simply because they're Bosley. Look at who's going to be doing the procedure. Most of the doctors that work for a Bosley or any of these national chains, they might have a background in surgery before they signed on board. So who knows? Like in the case of Paul Rose, he didn't suddenly become terrible because he started working for Bosley. So I think that when guys are talking about Bosley, they should maybe have a bit more of an open mind at this point. It's 2024. It's not 1994 anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I hear it. That's perfect sense. And I also want to say one thing. I've been listening to you guys for years and always love it. And I noticed that a lot of people come on. I guess it's for the chat guys and your viewing audience. Is that they'll say, "Oh, I got a transplant and I don't see a difference and my hair's falling out." And I will say, guys, be patient, because the scary thing, I was very, very patient. And after like a year and a few months, amazing results. After the transplant and going on Propecia, the combination, amazing results. And it took that year and change, you know what I mean? And so if I could just say that to your audience, is for guys, just be patient. Whatever who you go to, or hopefully you go to the right person, as you guys always talk about, who's the quality of the doctor. But guys, just be patient. It will not happen in 2 or 3 months, but it will happen if you stay with and really take the meds. Like, I'm religious about my Propecia. You know what I mean? It's very rarely I ever miss a day for over 15 years.
That's good.
I know
That's
this
impressive.
is common sense, but
It's
yeah,
not common.
I know it's common sense.
sense is not too common, brother. Let me tell you. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
Joe's talking
Yeah.
about what's happening on social media. Dude, it's fucking crazy, man. It's what's happening now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You actually had things done at a time when there was even more of a closer to a logical endpoint for hair transplant surgery.
Sure. Hey,
Yeah.
I just want to say
They're coming, Spencer.
This meet. Yeah, exactly. Joe, I hear you perfectly. Spencer, you're very low. Just
Really?
to let you know. Yeah, you're very low. And Joe is very clear. If that helps anything.
I have to kind of figure out how that's going. So basically, my sound to you, to the phone system, is low.
Yeah.
I try to enunciate all my words.
You sound fantastic. Well, you're Canadian, right? So, Joe.
Bite your tongue.
That's it.
Bite your tongue.
That's funny because
I love
I
Canadians.
tested this yesterday
I
with
go all the
somebody.
time to
I tested this yesterday with somebody,
Canada.
and it's fine. All right, brother. Listen, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much, and thanks for letting me know about that.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right,
Good
take
talking
care.
with you.
Bye bye.
Take care.
All right, a great show. I'll
Thanks.
continue. Yes.
They're saying in the chat room, Spencer, that broadcast you sound fine. So apparently it's just on the phone you sound low.
Yeah, I mean, and that is an issue that at this stage of the game I would have to shut everything off to try to fix. So guys, bear with me who are on the telephones. My sound is going to be a little lower. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hello.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi, it's Milo. Hi, it's Mark. Sorry, from Slovenia.
Hey, Mark.
Hello, Mark.
How's it going?
Marco, exactly.
Marco,
Sorry.
how are you?
Marco.
Hi,
So sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Hi, I'm 33 years old. I had a transplant back in July. FUE 3,300 grafts. So I had a couple of questions. I'm a long-time viewer, but a first-time caller. So a couple of questions. Like first of all, finasteride. I've been on it for 13 months, like 4 months before my surgery. So I was on generic first. My Slovenian generic brand, and I was fine with it. But a couple of months ago, back in February, I switched to Proscar because I didn't know that my pharmacy have a Proscar. So I switched to Proscar, and I'm experiencing like a crazy shedding. And so I'm back from generic to the brand one. So and they dose it for myself, and they dose it at 1 milligram exactly. So I'm not cutting it in 4 pieces. So yeah, I'm experiencing crazy shedding, and it's been going on for like 2 months or something. And
so you went from generic.
I don't know if I should switch back to the generic one or keep it going with a brand name.
Are you able to hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How I'm just curious. Is the sound low on your end for me, or is it?
Yeah, it is very low, Spencer. Very low. Joe is louder, but you're very low. Yeah. But I can hear you if I concentrate. I can hear you. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna have to figure that out. All right. So you said that you went from generic to brand name, and then when you switched, you went through a shed, and now you're back on generic.
No, I'm not. I'm still on Proscar. I'm on Proscar from February. Okay. But as soon as I switched, the one thing that I experiencing is a good thing, that my libido was a little bit lower on generic, but now it's through the roof. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, because it might be a sign that it's not as efficient for me, right?
That the
could be.
Yeah, that the generic wasn't as efficient for you, you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's possible.
And I was getting a good results on generic one, but as I plan to move to the North America, and it will be easier for me to get a postcard there, right? And that's why I switched to the brand name. So it's a logical move for me, but maybe I'm just readjusting to the postcard, but I don't know. That's why I'm calling you guys to see
how long you been taking postcard?
Yeah,
how long ago did you switch?
Since February. So I was on
Okay.
my generic one for 11 months, and I know that when I went to the surgery, my doctor was like, I would not say amazed, but he was like really happy with the progress that I made on my diffuse crown, and it was only 4 months. So when I was 11 months on generic one, it kept better and better. But now I'm noticing like slight thinning again, and maybe I'm losing my ground. So yeah.
Well,
Joe,
okay. So
what do you think?
my initial gut feeling on this is you're having a good result on the generic. You switched over to name brand, and that's when you started having a visual reaction. You could see that your hair was shedding, and it looks a bit thinner than it did before. My gut tells me that it's just more effective for you, and you're going through the shed because of the increased efficacy of the real stuff versus the generic, and because your libido has gotten stronger because of being on name brand. That also tells me that it's more effective in lowering your DHT levels because it's less testosterone being converted into DHT, which means that you have more free-flowing testosterone in your body, which is aiding in your libido. It's a very, very simple logic. Like I'm not a doctor. I could be wrong on this, but that's what makes sense to me. Now, it could be something else, but I just don't know what it would be. You had a positive reaction on generic, but not so positive to where your libido was improved, which is a side effect according to some people. In fact, we have Carolina in the chat room. Her husband went through the exact same issue. She's just saying now that her husband had the same problem. Libido was trash on generic, switched to name brand, and now everything's great. So you're not the only one. There's someone in the chat room who's talking about the same issue.
Yeah.
If it were me, again, I'm not a doctor, but if it were me, I would probably stay the course for another few months because you've only been taking it for a couple months as it is. I would stay the course, continue for another few months, at least 3 more months, but also monitor it. And if it gets worse, maybe consider switching back to your original generic. But the problem with generics is, which one do you take? Do you have access to the same generic that you were getting before? Because there's so many different companies that make it now. If you do, maybe consider that. But as it stands, I'd push through and see if things start to turn around in a couple of months.
All right, and let me know if my sound is clear on the phone for you. But I think what Joe's saying is absolutely the way to go.
I didn't explain clearly how I'm experiencing the shedding. So I have a very, very thick and curly, dry hair. So when I'm shampooing my hair, there is always a friction, right? So and my hair is getting longer and longer. It's like 15 centimeters or something. And maybe that is another reason why I'm noticing even more, because there is more friction, more tugging and more pulling, even when my hair is wet with a shampoo on. So it can be the reason. And what Joel said that do I have an access to a same brand? Yeah, I have. I was using the same brand all the time. It is called Pharma S. I know it's unknown for you guys, but it is our national company. And it was the same brand all the time. They convinced me in my pharmacy that it is a legit brand with a constant constant concentration and everything. And the other thing is that when my libido bounced back while I'm on Proscar, I kind of suspected the authenticity of my Proscar, and it is my national pharmacy, right? But I was searching on Google Images and I was searching on the net, comparing the official like Merck or Organon, packages, tablets, and they're all different. And mine is from Belgium, and I suppose it's legit. I mean, there is a stamp and everything. It is from my national pharmacy.
So you're questioning whether or not the new product is legit because your libido went back up.
Yeah.
It could be that it's legit because your libido did go back up. I mean, it really depends. I mean, you just that's the problem with this drug. You just don't know, and it's the problem with fucking around with generics and. But yeah, I mean, I think what Joe. And by the way, I'm going to ask you again because I just try to fix my sound. Are you able to hear me more clearly, louder?
Yeah, a little bit better. But I'm a first-time caller, so,
all right, so
I don't know how it was earlier. So
let's keep testing it.
I think it's better. Yeah.
All right, you able to hear me as loud as Joe? Joe, speak.
Check 1 2 check check
probably.
check 1 2 check check check.
Yeah, Joe is like 20% louder.
All right, so here we're going to go.
I'm also right next to my microphone.
Well, no,
How's this?
It's my aux send. I figured it out.
No, you're
Okay.
pretty much the same.
Good.
You're pretty much the same.
Thank
and
you.
Joe, I've sent you pictures. I've sent you pictures of my surgery. If you can open them, that is my second question. Sorry, guys, for taking your time, but there is a second thing I want to discuss.
Are you kidding me? We're not getting any calls today. We need this call for some content. So thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I have a question.
When and where did you send them?
On Instagram, like 10 minutes ago, just before my phone call. If you can open them.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think this is you. Hey, Joe, like to take on FUT versus
No,
FUE
I didn't
debate?
send any text.
No,
Only pictures. Only pictures. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. You sent them to me on. Maybe I gotta look for.
Old man move, Joseph.
Requests.
So it was 30 minutes ago, and I sent you like 7 pictures or 8.
Have we chatted before
hey,
on?
I just sent you, hey Joe, via text on that same DM.
I don't see it.
Can you open it now? You don't see it?
No. I see nothing, buddy. You said on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on your Joe Tillman official, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything. I'm looking under message requests, and I don't see any message requests. Wait, hidden requests. Maybe this one. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's strange. Okay. Put you in general. Okay. All right. So what am I looking at here? What you?
Yeah. The first 3 pictures are before surgery. Norwood 3, completely.
That's not a Norwood 3, buddy.
Point.
Not even close to a 3. That's a. No, yeah, that's a 2. That's definitely a 2. That's a 2, buddy.
My doctor said it's 3.5. So, yeah.
Who's your doctor?
I don't know. I don't know if I should mention it because I don't know if he's comfortable with mentioning it. I have no problem. I can write you in a message. Okay. Is that
okay? Problem? I mean, you no. I mean, you can say it on air. Like like just because I disagree with his assessment doesn't mean that he's wrong. Although it does.
No, not because of that. I'm just he's a kind of a private person, and I don't know if he's all right for me to market
it's
anywhere.
Not honestly, it's not up to him. It's up to you because you're the patient. You can talk about your surgery anywhere and anyhow you want. You know, you hired him to do a job for you. You owe him nothing. Okay, just understand that. But I mean, I'm not gonna try to convince you to do it. I'm just explain the facts to you.
I wrote it now.
Okay.
Can you open the message?
Let's see here. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. He is kind of private. He's kind of a anomaly that way. But I mean, I'm looking at your results here. It looks good. Yeah, you should be proud of this.
I'm very happy. But hair greed kicked in, and I was not happy with the temple points. They turned out great, but there is a difference between the left one and the right one. So
there always is, my friend. There always is,
I know,
or there should be.
There is, I agree. There is always like a slight difference when I see to the natural, people without hair transplants and everything. There is always a slight difference with the left and right, and mine were completely recessed, and he only strengthened them. But you can see under my pictures that they're completely gone, and he was only strengthening the existing ones. He didn't create them. He didn't recreate them, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
He only strengthened the existing ones, and I asked him a couple of times to make them a little bit similar, because the right one is sharper than the left one. That is bugging me.
Yeah.
I will send you let me send you another one. So
let me just I'll just say this, and then can I show these photos on camera? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Like your face is hidden. Yeah. Okay. So before I do that, I'll just say that, if both temple points are identical, then that can actually look unnatural, because both sides of your scalp are not identical. There's an asymmetry to everyone's face, including sometimes the height of temple points. They're not always the same on one side versus the other. The shape is usually it's actually unnatural for the shape to be identical. It's more natural for one shape to have, or one side to have a bit of a different shape. So I would encourage you to embrace the asymmetry and the lack of detail on one side that may exist on the other. As long as they look natural, singles were used properly, then you should be okay. So what I'm going to do, oh, by the way, how many grafts were used for your case? I'm going to guess maybe about 3,000, 3,200?
Yeah, 3,000, exactly 3,300 and something, like 5 or 6. So,
damn, this guy's good. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to try to show this on camera here. So this is, let's see if I can tap this here. There we go. So that's before. It's hard to do on.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So there's the side there. So your temples were almost non-existent, just very very few hairs.
Right.
And this is the 3,300 grafts. Looking nice. He filled in those temples for you, squared them off.
It is.
Yeah. So it's looking good.
That hair is styled, Joe. It is styled.
No, I know.
There is progress.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that. In fact, it's not just style, but you have product in your hair that, to be perfectly fair, can hide imperfections. It can make results look more natural by taking. And I'm not saying this is what's going on with your case, but in general, when patients are looking at results online, they should actually be wary of results where it's obvious that there's some sort of gel or paste or pomade in the hair, because if you've got multi-hair grafts in the hairline, I mean, what happens when you use product in your hair? It clumps everything together in the hairline. Or even if the hair is just wet, like it's just damp from using water, the grafts or the follicles up front are actually all over the scalp. They clump together. So when you have product in your hair or it's styled and you're showing off a result, if your hairline's made up of doubles and triples, it'll look far more natural because you have that clumping action going on that hides the fact that you got singles or multis. It's really difficult to tell. Yeah. If you look really closely, in some cases you can, but that's the downside with using product and styling your hair for transplant results is you just don't know. In your case, like I can see what's actually going on, and I still think it looks good. I think that what's in the doctor that you went to, I mean, I don't work with him. I've never met the guy, but I'm the first to say that I think he's one of the best in Turkey. Sorry, you didn't say he's in Turkey, but I think he's one of the best in Turkey.
Yeah. He is the best one. And that's my opinion.
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far, but that's just me. But he's certainly good. Yeah. Absolutely. Like he's certainly good. I respect him in his skill set, in his talent. But I see nothing wrong really with your result, and I'm happy for you. Congratulations. And you should be happy. You should be really happy with this.
Yeah, I sent you another pictures with a style hair with those temple points like set in properly, so you can see what I mean with a rounded one. That the left one is rounded and the right one is sharper. So do you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to show these pictures as well. Yeah, give me just a second here.
I see that you didn't open the ones that I show you. No. I sent you another one.
Look again. Look again. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. There we go. So there's the right temple. These are the post-op shots. And then here is a second. There we go. There's the final result, the left temple point, and then the right temple point. And you sent another one. Let's see what that is. Yeah, these are the dry shots. There's still some product in there. I can see that. But yeah, this is... Yeah, okay. Yeah, it looks good. So,
Joe, please open the new ones. I've sent you another one, so you can see. Sorry for bombing you with all these pictures,
I did.
But I just want to...
No, I've already showed these on camera, yeah. Yeah, so what's the problem? What's the question?
Yeah. So, yeah, the question is that I wanna bring them in a little bit. And my hairline currently is at like 6 centimeters from the glabella. And I made 2 scenarios because I will ask my doctor to do another one in a couple of months if he is willing to do, and if he accepts it, because I know that there is a chance.
I don't think he will. I don't think he will.
I know, but I have a plan B with another doctor.
Yeah, let me just say this, okay?
Yeah.
Stop while you're ahead. You win. Don't get greedy. You have a fucking good-looking hair transplant. I don't care if you go back to the same doctor or to another doctor that's got, a great reputation. I can't even say cut your losses and walk away, because there are no losses. You win. You got a great result. Your temple points are completely natural. Like this is actually one of the best results I've seen from your doctor. You've done a great job with photographs. Like I do have some critiques that I could throw out there, but that's just being picky. You have a great result. I encourage you to put the brakes on. And no, I encourage you to put the brakes on and not go for any more surgery. You don't need it. Your hairline is thick. You got nice density. The angles are very well done. The direction of placement is very well done. Your temples or your temple points are actually really well done. Guess who else had temple points just like that? This guy.
Yeah.
I got one temple point that's more rounded off than the other, just like you do. Now, I'm not saying that's the best way, just because mine are the same way. but it is a natural look because no one's ever called me on it, and everyone, comments on my temple. Not everyone, but when they comment on my temple points, they all think it's natural. So you got a great result, dude. If you go for another surgery, just because you want to lower it and bring in the sides more, like 6 centimeters from the glabella, that's lower than most people have their hairline. And you've already had 3,300 grafts for your hairline. There's no need to do any more surgery.
I'll tell you what I found a little disturbing in your commentary, not you, Joe, but the caller, is that you actually said that if your doctor, the one that performed this incredible masterpiece on you, turns you down for a second procedure, that you have a backup plan for another doctor.
Yeah.
Now, don't you think that if your doctor really believed that you would benefit from another procedure, don't you think he'd want to take your money?
Yeah.
Well, I know that he's a very ethical guy, and he, like, I was begging him, like, literally to pull out some more grafts for a crown, because I have some, like, we didn't talk about my crown. I have some. Yeah, I lost some ground on my crown. It's not terrible. It's a little bit diffused, and he rejected it because he knew that I will get good results from finasteride. That's why that's the main reason why I'm calling you. So and Joe, don't get me wrong. I'm truly amazed with the results. I'm like, in terms of scale, how happy I am. It is 10 out of 10. There is no doubt about it. It's just, this is a pure hair grid. I mean, it's a pure, and I totally understand it. Maybe I won't go with it. I'm thinking about it. That's why I called you, just to see your guys' perspective on it. And I have a plan B in terms of like temples only. I might not lower, like, and if I'm lowering it, I will lower it like 3 millimeters, 2 millimeters, just to, because I made some drawings. I've sent you those drawings. If you can see them, they're like.
I just want to say one thing, and this is not to cut you off, caller, but that 2 or 3 millimeter differential could destroy your life. Mm-hmm. It can put you into a deep spiral. It can put you into depression that you're not even prepared for, brother. I mean, you have a home run, and that hair, that finite amount of donor hair, can be utilized in the future if you need it. And also, say you wait 5 years, nothing changes, you're stable, and you want to tweak things a little bit for whatever reason. Your face changes slightly, as we start, our faces change with gravity. You want to bring it down slightly as you get older. You want to have all those possibilities in your back pocket. You move more grafts now, you lose more possibilities for the future, even if it works out. But if it doesn't work out, or if it only works out by 80% or 70%, you're going to be disappointed. And you're going to think to yourself, why did I do this? It was not worth the time, the money, the effort, the emotional expenditure. And I know so many guys, and this is not a hyperbole, so many people who have gone for that extra oomph for their hair transplant, and they went into a dark place, stuck wearing hats, all that shit. So I'm just telling you, man, the fact that that possibility exists, and the fact that you have the transplant that you have today, but the possibility of failure exists with every surgery, why would you chance it? It's not a life or death situation. You probably look in the mirror and think to yourself, holy shit, what a great outcome this is. I'm sure you look a lot better.
It is. Yeah.
He does, and I got the images where you drew out your ideal final result, and I got to tell you, buddy, you said it was only a couple of millimeters difference. No, you drew something it's like half a centimeter lower on the hairline minimum, but then the sides you got your temple points completely redesigned, and they're too high. I'm going to share this with the group, with everyone that's watching. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of washed out on the camera, but can you see the temple point drawing there, Spencer? Can you see that?
I can, yes. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You might as well have SMP.
That's way too high. That's way too high. But even if we were to use this design, take a wild guess how many grafts that would take.
I would say 2,700 minimum.
1,000.
What color?
1,000 and 1,500. 1,000 and 1,500.
No, try about 2,200.
I said 2,700, Joseph. That was close.
That was close, yeah. Because what you don't understand is you have to have high density in the hairline, because if you wanted to have like a soft transition zone, sure, that's fine, but you don't have the hair that works for a fine transition zone. You have fair skin and you have black hair. It doesn't work that way. You have to have high density all the way up to the very front. And when you're looking at those sides are a few hundred grafts each. So that's on top of what it takes for the hairline lowering. So you're looking, you take each side. If both sides have that type of adjustment, you're looking at maybe 500 grafts each to get a decent density that blends into your hair properly, just in the temple points. So that's 1,000 grafts right off the bat, and then another 1,200, 1,500 grafts to lower the front of the hairline down. That's more than a couple of centimeters or a couple of millimeters. That's at least half a centimeter.
Matching the current density that you have, I'm telling you, you're going to need even more grafts, especially in the frontal part and on the in the temporal recesses.
Yeah.
So,
but if I have to,
but what you're looking at though, in order to have those temple points actually in the proper spot, which is lower, it means that the entire side of your scalp, not just the temple point, but down into the sideburn, all of that needs to be readjusted, because every time you move the hairline down, it's not just the temple points that have to be adjusted. It depends on how much you're lowering it, but the entire side has to be brought forward, and your temple point needs to be lower than what you drew on here. So you're actually involving the entire side of your scalp, not just the temple point, not just the temple, but you're down below the temple point into the top of your sideburn. So all of that needs to be addressed. It needs to be blended into that upper sideburn area. So you might even be closer to what Spencer was talking about with 2,700 grafts. You already had 3,300 there.
I didn't want to
so to go to 3,000 or 7,000 grafts just for the hairline, that's way too much, buddy.
Yeah, the only reason why I drew this on my head is because I wanted those temple points to be more brought in, right? So that is the only reason. I might not do the hairline.
Just because you went to Turkey doesn't mean that you need a Turkish hairline, brother.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen a picture of your entire face, but judging just from the size of your forehead, I think I saw a little eyebrow in there. I saw your ability to style your hair in such a natural, like non-transplanty way. The naturalness of both sides of the temporal points, doesn't matter if one's slightly rounded, no one notices that. And frankly, part of that, if it's too distinct and too symmetrical, that actually catches the eye when it comes to hair, as opposed to symmetry in the face. So I've been doing this for a long time. I don't like to step on Joe sometimes because, he's actually had 10 transplants and I've been able to avoid it. I've seen everything. And all I can say is you have one of the best initial transplants that I've seen in a very long time.
Check your Insta. I sent two of his photos to you.
You're talking to the caller, Joe, or to the Spencer?
No, I was talking to Spencer. I sent two of your photos to him just so he could have an idea of the placement of your hairline. Like you said, it's 6 centimeters from your glabella, which is low as it is.
Oh my God, dude!
But
first of all, you have I mean, you have a small forehead right now, and I'm blowing this up, and I know that's an image. I know you have styled hair, But the naturalness of the temporal peaks, with that slight, like mature thinning that's very natural for everybody. And again, this is an image, so it's going to look slightly different in person. I know that. But I mean, I don't know who this guy is, but he hooked you up, brother. Do not lower that at all. You may need, depending on where the grafts were moved, it's possible some of those grafts could diminish over time too. Hopefully they don't, but you'd want to replace those grafts if they do, and you want to save the hair that you have in order to do that. To me, that is where your hairline should be. Any lower, it's going to look like a hair transplant.
How old are you?
I have a very, very dark. Yeah, I'm 33. Yeah. So I have a very dark hair, as you see, and I have a very pale skin, and I have always had that huge forehead with a high hairline. You saw my previous tape. So,
but you don't now. That's the thing, man. It's low. It's healthy. It's strong.
So,
yeah, dude, you win. You win, brother.
It is.
You win. I'm super happy for it. I'm jealous as fuck. Like, what the hell?
I'm just looking at the quality of the skin. I'm like, Jesus. I thought this guy was in his 20s.
Yeah. And Joe, I have sorry for this long call. I'm a long-term viewer, so the questions kind of piled up. So bear with me just a couple of more minutes, and I'm out. So I have two more questions. The left side of my hairline is a little bit thinner. If you can look that picture with my drawings, where my hair has conditioner in.
I see it.
There is a slight difference in thickness, if you can see it. Yeah, I'm currently on 9th month. So when I was talking with some guys on the forum and some people that know this stuff, they told me that this might be it. So I'm currently at 90% of my success, right? So they told me that the surgeon, if he's right-handed, he starts from the left side of the head, and he's more conservative in terms of using the grafts on the left side, right? So because he doesn't know at that point how many grafts we'll have for right side. So
let me stop you right there. That's horseshit. That's horseshit.
Incorrect.
That's horseshit.
I can't believe someone would tell you that.
That's horseshit because any doctor that's worth his salt, they may start on one side and be a bit more like that. It actually does make sense. I don't want to dismiss it out of hand, but the reason why it's wrong is because any surgeon that's worth his salt will go back and fill in any areas that are lacking. Once he or she gets a feel for how many grafts they've got to finally work with, and has a feel for your skin type and understands how the tool is able to pierce and cut your skin to make the incisions. Like it's all a learning process, but a good I guarantee you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. This doctor went back and looked at your hairline multiple times before you actually walked out the door.
It is.
Am I right?
Is. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So there you go.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're saying
no,
that.
Of course, but
because
that's why what you were told.
Yeah.
On these forums, I mean, this goes back to the misinformation I was talking about at the top of the show. These people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like they rationalize this stuff in their head, and it makes sense on paper, so to speak, but they don't understand that there's this process that these doctors go through. I'm working on the video to introduce. I can say his name because he's already on my website, Dr. Sean Bainham. As a new member of my website, and I've talked to him so much over the past 6 months. This guy does not shut up about how often he goes back and looks at the hairline. He talks about how it's not just drawing the hairline, making the incisions, placing the grafts. He said that he's constantly thinking about the hairline. Even if he's working behind the hairline, he's already done the hairline. He's constantly thinking about the hairline. He's constantly going back in and looking for areas like he'll go on a break, go to the washroom or something, go get lunch, and comes back in and he stops and he looks at the hairline to see if there's something he needs to change. And then if there's not, then he goes back to whatever he's doing, but he doesn't stop looking at it. That's the way hairline doctors are. They're always looking at it.
Yeah.
They're always looking for things that they may have missed because they don't want you to leave and then to come back in 6 months or a year and say, I'm not happy. They want you to be happy because their signature is on your head.
I know. He was tweaking the hairline all the time, the density on the left and the right. And that's why I thought it was bullshit as well. So, Joe, but do you think that the density will match the right side?
I don't, maybe, but it doesn't need to. That's the thing, is it doesn't need to be the same density on one side versus the other. Now, if it was the hairline itself, then there's an argument to be made for that. But when you reach a certain level, a certain threshold of density anywhere, then if another area has more density, then it kind of becomes relative. It's like, do you really need to add something to it? And it's more difficult to see that disparity when you're looking at temple points on one side of the scalp versus on the other side of the scalp, because they're not next to each other, right? Now, if you look at the hairline, if you look at the widow's peak in a hairline, you compare the left side to the right side. I mean, they're right next to each other. It's easy to see the disparity. But the temple points, it's much more difficult. But it's also natural for one side to have a bit less density than the other. It's also natural for the right side to be more recessed than the left side. And guess what? Yours is, because your doctor understands naturalness. So I got mad respect for your result and for what the doctor did for you. And everything that you're talking about is hair greed. 100%.
Yeah, it is.
100%. And I get it.
Sorry,
I get it.
There is a difference. There is a slight difference in angulation of the left side and on the right side. So that might be the
They're
reason.
Supposed to be.
I cannot judge. Yeah, I cannot judge on that because I don't have that eye. Maybe you can see it. So the angle on the left side, the hairs are going up. It is more like 60 degrees, 70 degrees.
So what did the guys
on the right side,
what did the experts in the forum tell you about that?
Nothing. I was the one mentioning the angles. So, and on the right side, they're laying flat on the skin, so creating more density and less see-through effect, right?
You want to know who else has that kind of hair? Who else has hair that does that? Where the hair on the left temple is a bit more. Yeah. Yes. What?
I said Joe. You have the. You were asking me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was asking you. Do you know? Do you know what other people have that disparity in angulation and direction like you have? Do you want to know?
Yeah, I want to know.
Yeah, say yes. The people that have that kind of hairline are men that have not had any real recession in their hairline. That's the mark.
And
that's one of the marks of a juvenile hairline. Because when you look at the crown in the back of the scalp, it has the whorl pattern, right? So what direction does that whorl pattern rotate? 9 times out of 10, it's a clockwise rotation. But that rotation, the whorl pattern, is not isolated to just the crown. It actually radiates out across the entire scalp. So the hair on the left side of your head, if you were to look at the actual direction that it grows forward toward your left eye. And the hair on the right-hand side of your scalp, from your temple point back, actually flows backward towards the occipital scalp in one large rotation clockwise. That's what's happening on you. So and that extends into the hairline. So the hairline, the hairs are angled a bit higher and forward, and then on the right-hand side, they're a bit flatter, and they actually angle a bit backward. That's how we place them. Am I correct?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
That's how it's done, people. There you go.
And Joe,
you have a completely natural result. You win.
And you're not going to stop asking questions, are you?
Yeah. What about finasteride? You said no. This is the final question. So about finasteride, you said that I should keep up with a postcard. So if the shedding continues, how long should you give it a chance before switching back to the generic one?
I didn't say you should. I'm saying what I would do. You do what you want to do. What I would do is I'd stick through. I'd push through for at least another 3 months, monitoring it closely, like paying attention to what's going on, not getting freaked out because I see a few hairs in the shower or in the sink because that's normal. You're supposed to, but if there is a noticeable negative change, then reevaluate what you're doing. Talk to your doctor. Call us. We'll talk about it. But as it stands, if it were me, I would push through for at least another 3 months to see if the issue subsides or even reverses.
And if I lose more ground on the crown,
we're ahead.
Evaluate as it happens. Yeah, it's your head. Evaluate as it happens.
You're a young guy.
Okay.
You've gotten one of the best hair transplants that we've seen in a very long time. I understand your mindset, but I'm just telling you, kid, I mean, that could last you for years. And anyone who looks at you now is going to think you're a guy with a full head of hair. Don't fuck with it.
Because you are. You are. You do have a full head of hair. You fucking win, dude.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. And Joe, please respect my wish. And please don't tell about the surgeon because this call was like, people might get the idea that I'm not satisfied or something. I'm over the moon. He changed my life and everything. So I'm so.
I'm fucking telling everyone.
And I
let me tell you something. If he did name you, if he did put out the name right now, this guy would be flooded with business because you gave him an incredible, testimony of his skills and just showing those images. I mean, shit, man. He did great work.
Yeah, but he might be angry. He might be angry that I made this call.
Well, you should tell him to apply. You should tell him to apply to my organization because we need doctors like him in Turkey.
Yeah. I wish him that as well. So please, Joe, don't tell anyone. And you can send Spencer his name and everything, but please, I don't want to lose him as my doctor. That is the only reason why I want to keep this privately, okay?
As soon as you hang up, I'm telling everyone. No, I'm just kidding. Of course not. I wouldn't do that for you.
Okay, guys.
It's secret.
I told you in the month
you have my word.
about my situation.
Okay, brother. Good luck. Okay. Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We have time for another call. We started late.
It was Dr. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I mean, dark hair, light skin, had a higher natural forehead. He recessed temporal points. And then you look at the
I got to say, though, he was a Norwood 3.5. Like, what the fuck? He was a 2. He was a weak 2, but he was a 2. And but yeah, God bless him. God bless him. Great result.
Well, maybe when the physician was looking at him, like through his miniaturized hair, and said, this is the pattern that he's getting close to.
Could be, yeah. I give you that. I give him that. But
anyway, I think I fixed the sound on all ends. I think the callers can hear me now. I fixed the lighting a little bit. I love my engineer, but I turned my back and everything's fucked up.
Damn you, Zarian!
No, it wasn't Zarian. No, this guy's.
I know.
Zarian's great, and this guy's great. I mean, I thank God that he's back in town. By the way, so, but I just have to kind of like play with my own sound on my own. I can't let anybody else fuck with it.
I will say that this last call that we had. Thank you for the call, by the way. It's not every day we get a call from Slovenia. He just reiterated what I was talking about at the top of the show with the misinformation online. Like, he was being told such horseshit by people on Reddit, of all places. It's like there's so much bad information out there. Like, the guy was upset because of what these people said, and they had no idea what they're talking about. It made no sense. Like I said, on paper, if you try to figure this stuff out, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But they obviously didn't think it through to its logical conclusion. The doctor's like, he's good at hairlines, so obviously he's going to be looking at this stuff throughout the day.
Look,
I guess a lot of people don't think about that.
We're going to take your calls
it's just
in a
the problem.
second. But here's the thing. I don't like to sound, like a know-it-all when it comes to anything. I have, as old as I get, the older I get, the more I realize I still have room to learn in anything. It doesn't matter how long I've been doing this. But I could say one thing that I have learned over the years is that it's very rare to find any of the anonymous players online who really fully grasp and understand every nuance of this procedure.
Yeah.
They just haven't seen enough. They've only seen images. They haven't spoken to enough patients. They've only read people's angst or their stories or seen the results online. They haven't spoken to them in person. They haven't spoken to the physicians who are performing these surgeries. And not just one physician or two physicians, but hundreds of physicians. Understand the reality of every time you open somebody up, there are different changes and nuances in their physiology. Every aspect of the surgery is slightly different every day. Guy's a left-handed surgeon or a right-handed surgeon. Yes, there are nuances for each, handed person when they are creating recipient sites. There are people who are ambidextrous who are making recipient sites with both hands.
Yeah.
And creating those angles. I've seen it all. I don't like to just sit here like you and I just saying like we're the only experts, our word is the gospel. That's not true. But we again are kind of like almost like the aggregators of such unique information and insight that these kids online, these guys online, it doesn't matter if they've been wasting their time posting online for 30 years anonymously. In general, from what I've seen, they just don't know.
Yeah.
And this is a life-altering procedure. And that's what these people just don't understand. I have had people on my Instagram call me an idiot. I'm okay with that. Like, you think I'm an idiot? That's fine. Don't listen to me. I'm not here to force you to listen to me. I'm not selling anything. I don't give two fucks. Honestly. I mean, I do care about, I want to do my best to provide people with the safest options and choices and insights. That's what I give a fuck about. But if you choose not to listen to me, good luck, brother. Maybe you'll do well. Maybe you won't. I don't know. You think I'm an idiot? Whatever. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Eddie from Houston.
Eddie from Houston. I'm going to ask you
Eddie.
a question at the top of the call. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, very clearly.
Perfect.
Great.
All right.
Thanks for taking the call.
What's going on, Eddie?
My voice is a little hoarse. I got allergies, so.
You sound fine, man.
Okay, great. So I had a strange experience this past week. I was trying to schedule a hair procedure with Dr. Cooley. I saw him like 3 years ago, right before COVID, and I paid for a consultation. Because of COVID, I had some repair done elsewhere. So the lady that I communicate with, she's saying that Dr. Cooley's not doing like any more scar revision, which okay, it's fine. I already had that repaired, but I don't understand what she's saying. She's just saying stuff that's not making sense, and I just don't understand. I'm sure you know his staff. I'm assuming you know his staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now, is this a younger person or an older person?
No, this is. I mean, you want me to say the name or just? I'm assuming it's the older lady. She's the only one. She only communicates by email, which is the strangest thing. I'm here to spend tens of thousands of dollars, and you can't call me. And the communication's so, tedious. It's like we're going back and forth, and I have to clarify. I'm like,
did you ask if you can speak to her?
Yes, yes, yeah. Her responses were like awkward. They're just like, "What is this? What are you doing?" So I just felt like maybe
Well,
she was being dismissive.
I'll say this, Eddie. I'll just interrupt you, and just for everyone listening,
Yeah.
and this isn't specifically to your case, but
Yeah.
when I want to talk to someone on the phone, I never ask permission, or I never ask if it's okay. I pick up the phone and I call, and this is just my policy, and I think that other people should adopt this because it solves so many problems. Where
Tell me about
you pick up the phone and you call, and if you can actually get them on the phone, you can solve all of the issues usually in that one call.
exactly.
And
I
I'm not
did
saying
call.
that that's yeah. Oh, okay, good.
No, I
good.
did call.
All right. So what happened?
And then I would get to her assistant, and the assistant would be like,
Yeah.
"Well, the best way to get a hold of her or communicate with her is through email only." Like,
Through
are you
email, yeah.
serious?
All right, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something, and Joe, I appreciate what you just said. And I've known doctor Cooley, and I've worked with Dr. Cooley for many years. He's one of the original members, founding members of the IHRS, and just a doctor's doctor, and also someone I respect on a personal level for always standing up and doing the right thing, non-political, just a super great guy. I don't think that's even reasonable that this patient has to struggle communicating with the office. That's all I'm going to say. And I don't know if you agree with that, Joe.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that maybe
Well,
when you can get a hold of Dr. Cooley, let him know what's going on, because I have no access to him. This is, it's just a bunch of everything's documented here, but this is not professional at all. I've never.
Well, let me back up. Let me back this up a little bit. And I understand what you're talking about. Like, I totally get it. But you said something at the top of your call that I think might have some bearing on it. You said that you are a repair patient, correct?
Yeah, this is later. This was in the initial conversations. This is much later. This is towards the end of the email thread. But just in the very initial phases, I could not get a hold of anybody. And then when I finally got a hold of a live person, that person would tell me to call, would email the other individual. So listen, I did everything I could. I'm just telling you, right now what I'm left with is that she's saying Dr. Cooley's not going to do any repairs, which I don't need to do any repair. I just want to do FUE. And then she said something about he doesn't recommend doing FUE, like 1 to 2, what do you call it? 2 grafts for the front area or something of that nature. I'm trying to find the email. It was very odd.
Well, let me back up. So your story is you've had Dr. Cooley was your original doctor at one point?
No, it was just a consult. I met him in person as a consult.
Okay, and then you during the pandemic you decided to have surgery with somebody else. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
for the repair, yes.
Okay, so I guess my question is: so you had surgery sometime prior to Dr. Cooley for having a consult?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many years ago did you have the surgery?
Last time I did it with Dr. Wong in 2021 or 22, end of 21 or end of 22.
Okay, and you needed some repair from Dr. Wong's work, you're saying?
He did it, yeah. He did it. It was fine. Yeah, it worked out.
Dr. Wong did the repair work.
Correct.
Because he had a surgery apparently before Dr. Wong, right?
Okay, so Dr. Wong did the repair work. So why aren't you going back to Dr. Wong now?
Because I'm doing FUE this time, so not FUT. So they're saying for Dr. Cooley's, they're saying Dr. Cooley doesn't do FUT anymore, other than only as an exception, and it's like going to be wait till the fall, and it's very ambiguous.
Let me stop you right there. That was a if that's what was said in the email, that's a mistype, because he's actually not doing much FUE at this time. He's doing more FUT because that's what his patients are actually asking for.
I apologize.
Yeah,
right.
okay.
He's not doing much FUE. Sorry. So he's not doing much FUE.
Right.
And I was like,
So my question to you is, all right, so Dr. Wong, you had your repair surgery with Dr. Wong. You went there and you obviously had to strip, right, for your repair.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, you do know that him and his staff also do FUE, and they're doing it on a larger
we all
basis.
talked about this in a previous call. We already we all talked about it. So I'm aware what he's doing. And I was just trying to go to somebody who specializes, who does the whole procedure, which would have been, it would have been nice if if Dr. Cooley would have done the whole procedure.
Sure.
And to refine the hairline, to fix whatever's, he gave me a lot of attention. So I know if I go to him, he'll give me some attention. He'll go over it through, he'll be very rigorous. And so I need that kind of detail, and I don't know who to go to now. And I have to start over. I have to really research, because I understand, Raluca, whoever's doing it there is, they're good at what they do. But I'm just, and then I went to Dr. What's his name that you guys recommended? I don't know if I want to mention his name. I don't want to rehash the whole drama scene. Remember that happened a few months ago with that that doctor who called in and was just drunk. I don't want to mention his name.
Yes.
You can mention his name.
I went to him, and I was getting ready to do the procedure. And, that whole incident happened. I was like, oh, my God, maybe I should just hold off. He was a great guy. I had no issues with him. But that was just got
you made a decision based on some things that happened, and that's understandable. But so let me, so back to the core of your call. You've had this interaction with one of the office staff, and you feel like you're kind of being pushed off, or you're not getting the communication that you want. And this is after she said, "Well, Dr. Cooley doesn't really work with repair cases anymore, and he doesn't really perform FUE as much as he does FUT." So
yeah.
So it seems clear to me. Number one, I know what you're talking about with regards to the email thing. That frustrates me too, and it I have a certain way that I think clinics should operate when it comes to communication. Not everyone agrees with me, and sometimes doctors they're not really in a position to force some of their staff to do things a certain way, especially if that staff member has been there for 20 years. They have the way that they do things, and it's a clinic culture that may not be perfect for everyone, and I get that. And so I can't say too much about it as far as when I'm talking to the clinics I work with. But with that said, it's clear now.
It was very dismissive. It was we don't really want to deal with you. Is my experience. And it was give me the benefit of the doubt. Pick up the phone. Let's talk. Check with Cooley. If I need to wait till the end of the year, it's fine. You don't have to rush it.
I think it's beyond that. I think it's just because Dr. Cooley, he used to be the go-to guy for repair patients, and he's in a position now where it's not a position of he doesn't have to work in repair patients. It's never been that case. He's actually enjoyed it in the past. But he's got a change in the focus of his practice to where repair patients are not a priority because of the amount of work that he has to put into them. Not just physically doing the surgery, but also with the follow up, because a lot of repair patients today, more so than ever, require a lot more hand holding after the surgery that he doesn't have the time for, and so he would rather. And I'm not speaking for him. This is just my impression, but he would rather be in a position where he doesn't have to do that, because it takes a lot. It's very draining for a doctor to be doing that, and this does not reflect on you in the least, because he's never even worked on you. He doesn't know you. He did one consultation with you, and that was that, and that was over 3-4 years ago. So. While I understand and I agree that perhaps the communication could have been better, I think it's clear that it's best that you just move on and find another doctor that is willing to communicate with you on your standards and to your expectations.
But in all fairness, I do believe, and again, I love Jerry Cooley. I think he's one of the best guys. I don't say this about many doctors, even guys that are part of the organization. He's one of the good guys. I would have dinner with the guy. I would send a family member to him and all. I would do it with other IHS members, but there's something about this guy he's just, a stand-up dude.
Yeah,
However,
he's a nice guy.
however, I just want to state this. Honestly, I'd be pissed, and I don't fully understand Joe, and maybe you may have different communication with his staff than I do. I don't fully understand that that type of, I don't want to say attitude, but I think everyone deserves a phone call and a full explanation of things. This is a business, and
I wasn't saying he doesn't. I was saying I prefer that kind of communication as well. But not everyone communicates that way, and instead of trying to force the issue, and I'm not saying you are, just move on, because not everyone's going to communicate the way that you want, or I want, or Spencer wants, and that's a great indication to just move on to someone that does.
What happened was,
and I agree. Like I would prefer that kind of communication as well. I would feel like I'm being slighted. I'm not going to bullshit about it. I would feel like I'm being slighted if I'm not given the courtesy of a phone call. But at the same time, it's like, what else can you do? Cut your losses and move on.
And in the emails, it's the lack of, like, we were not on the same page. She kept assuming what I was thinking I want to get done when it's been years, and she's going off the old email thread. And like, I haven't had a chance to present what I want to say or what I want to do, and she's just coming with these. It was just a frustrating experience. It was unprofessional, and it was so tedious. It would have spent, if we spent 10 minutes on the call, it would have bend much more efficient than the amount of time we spent sending emails back and forth. It's so frustrating.
Well, tell you what I'll do. I'll send a clip of I'll send a timestamp on this video to Dr. Cooley himself, so he can hear it straight from you.
Yeah, and another thing, I'm not trying to do repair. I appreciate it. I'm not trying to do repair. The repair's already been done. We're just trying to do an FUE.
Yeah.
And she said she can do an FUE, but it'll be further down the road. It'll be in the future, and it's certain exceptions. I mean, she just kept creating more barriers. It's like, make up your mind.
Yeah.
What's really going on here? So I just want to get to the bottom of it. I mean, if he's able to do it, great. If not, I understand. Mine would have been normally like maybe 1,000 grafts, something in that area, that number.
What's the work that you want to have done? Like, you want to, is it hairline work, crown work? What do you want to have done?
The hairline, just build up some more density, and if he wants to fix a few hair follicles, he was recommended that in the past. But just. And I was going to spend $300 also for another consult, which was double the price of what I was paid you for, and you're never going to get that back. It's just a consult. It was like, okay, fine. I wasn't arguing about the money or anything.
Yeah.
Look,
he needs to know.
I just want to say I totally get it, and it's disturbing to me, and I'm telling Joe this too, because I know Joe has kind of a more direct. I have a direct line of communication also, but I know that Joe has more correspondence. Either with the office or with Dr. Cooley. And, as someone who's part of what we do for so long, and as an IHRS member, and as again, doctor's doctor, a guy I really respect and like on a personal level, I think it does his practice a disservice to have a complaint like this, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's unfair to him as someone who spent his entire life becoming one of the best hair transplant surgeons, on the planet, with a stellar reputation, for someone to have a bad taste in their mouth based on the inability for the staff to communicate.
Yeah, that's why I was recommending you guys reach out to him. He needs to know that, because he doesn't want that. I'm assuming if they're doing it to me, they're doing it to somebody else. I'm just the one being vocal about it, or I have access to you guys. So I'm sure there's other complaints. Got to be. I cannot be the first one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's always a possibility, but you currently are the first one and the only one that I'm aware of. And I will say, though, it's not good. And I think, again, it does his practice and his reputation, which is stellar, a disservice.
Yeah. I don't think it does anything against him. I think it's he does great work, from my understanding.
Well, here's the thing. You're coming to us. You're coming to us, which is invaluable for him, I would say. But there are other people who will run right to Yelp or some shit and try to destroy this guy's reputation just based on the inability to communicate with his office. So that's why I think it's a disservice to him. You know what I mean?
And I'm not. and I wouldn't do that. That's why I'm talking directly to you guys, because something has to be done or said.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm not going to go out there and talk about it.
And for all of the other IHS members and members of what Joe does and all that stuff, I mean, listen to this. This is invaluable for your practice because these people are coming to us to complain instead of going on a review site.
Yeah.
We can act as a liaison and help you guys not get fucked up online when you're doing great work. And we know that just based on somebody that's, maybe not doing great, outreach at your office. What's up, Joe?
Where it lives in perpetuity in audio.
Yes.
I think what's upsetting.
No, it's all good, man.
I think because I have some contrast because I've had operations at other locations, and like for example, Dr. Wong, he's like amazing staff. They're on top of things.
Yeah,
like they're really good.
It's a well-oiled machine for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, they're really amazing. So
it makes a huge difference, and that's all part of the psychological equation that I spoke about at this conference. This is proof positive that, and if you did decide to have surgery, brother, with Dr. Cooley right now, and if for some reason in your mind something wasn't perfect, the entire experience would be tainted by this. If it's not a home run, it's going to be tainted psychologically by your communication with his staff. And I tell these doctors that all the time. So I think this is, this could be a valuable call for you. I think Joe's right. You should probably move on, because I would. And this is invaluable for any doctors who are listening, and also other patients. This shit happens.
Well, I'll leave it up to Dr. Cooley, see if he wants to reach out, or if he maybe look into it. Regardless, I don't have anything personal going on with these people. I just, I'm here to get a procedure completed, and I know he's going to do his best, and I know he's one of the top-notch doctors. So, now if it doesn't work out with him, I just need to look some other options, because in my situation, I can't do another FUT. Yeah.
So why wouldn't you go back to the guy in Atlanta?
You just had to do it, didn't you?
No, I'm just curious. Is it just based on the fact that the guy called in the show drunk?
No, you guys know why.
Well, I mean, let's face it. He's good at what he does.
Yeah, he's good, but I don't want to take. And I hope they're not listening, but they probably are, because they call me every now and then, saying they want me to see, if I'm going to move forward. And I'm like embarrassed to say something about them, because they're really nice, but at the same time, I don't like drama. I cannot handle. And if somebody has a bad day, or let's say something goes wrong, and if I want to address it, and then they would like, screw you, like, I can't have that.
I get it.
Well, what are they going to do to you? If they say screw you, then it's like, okay, fine. They just did you a favor, because it
no, he means
they're
after
not going to call you anymore. Oh yeah,
no,
well, that's different. But
after a procedure,
yeah, okay, I understand. But I would say this, like if you want him to stop calling you, you can say, sure, I'd be happy to consider having a surgery with him if you can show me that he's got his coin for his 12-step program.
Oh, shit. No, he didn't.
I'm not going to say anything like that.
Well, that'll guarantee that they don't call you anymore. I mean, that's one way to do it.
No, they're very nice. If I tell them that I'm not interested, they'll honor that.
Well, of course they're very nice. They want you to pay them $10,000 or however much. But and that's not just them. That's in any clinic would be doing that. But look, I honestly, it's like next time they call you, you don't want them to call anymore. Just say, take me off your call list. Just treat them like a spam caller.
I mean, you may end up getting a possible nasty letter. I don't know.
You might get an email from one of the staff members saying, how you missed out and made a mistake.
How dare you?
because everyone else on the planet is inferior. But
actually,
it's a whole different story.
The guy was calling me. We have some good conversation. He's a good guy, so I enjoy the conversation. So we just talk about other stuff too. So
okay.
Yeah,
I mean, nice.
I don't want to be mean or anything like that. It's not worth it.
No, it's not. Joe's good at it, though.
Yeah. All right, so what do I do now?
I'm just joking around.
I got to start over here. I need to figure out. I don't have the luxury of making any more mistakes. I have only a finite amount of hair follicles left to do. Maybe one, like I don't know how much FUE I can do. Maybe 2,000 maximum. But let's just say, conservatively, maybe 1,000. And I can't mess it up. This is my last shot.
Let me ask you this: what's your hairline situation like now? Like, do you have enough to style? Is it looking like tumbleweeds? What's going on?
It's doable, but at the same time, there are some spots, like certain spots that are like sparse, like there's lack of density there, so I need to fill in certain areas. But I do a good job of
if you were sent a letter by the President of the United States saying, "I hereby declare you are not to get any more hair transplants ever," would you be okay? Like, would you feel okay not having another surgery? Would you be able to move forward and be a productive member of society?
Yeah, it depends who's saying. Is it Donald Trump?
No, you know what I'm saying. Just like if you're in a position where you learned that you could not get another hair transplant, would you be okay with that? Would you be like, okay, fine, I can live without it?
I could, but it would be it'd be a hard pill to swallow. It's just because it's not complete. There's a few things that need to be completed around just some little density and just some little minor details.
You know what? You know why I'm asking that question. You know why I'm asking that question because you had a repair where you had a wide strip scar. Dr. Wong repaired that for you. He cleaned that up.
Yes.
And you just said that you might have 2,000 grafts left. You're not going to do another FUT, so FUE, you might have 2,000 grafts left. That's not a lot of hair.
Yeah.
So what's the rest of your hair like? Like, are you on medication? Are you having success on medication? What's the family history like? Are you doomed to lose more hair in the future, or is it a question mark that you just don't know? And I ask this because maybe you don't need to have surgery right now, and you can just put it off until you actually do have to have it. Well, I mean, you never have to have surgery, but until you get to a point where there's no question surgery is necessary. Because of additional loss. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. So the reason why I'm in that I want to go ahead and do the surgery is because I need to fill in some of the, like where the scar revision is. I want to fill in some of those, there's like a 2 millimeter gap. It's noticeable if I cut my hair either short or if it's too long. It's like can't find that. You have to find that middle ground to where it's not noticeable. So I want to cover that up. I want to put some grafts in there. But before you do that, I want to make sure I do an FUE, so that because I'm not sure how this works. Because shouldn't we do the FUE first before you fill in that scar revision, that scar area?
Well, that's what you're talking about putting hair. You're talking about putting hair into the scar, right?
In the scar, yes. But before you do that, maybe we should do the FUE so we can see so we can get proportionate in the future. So when we fill it up,
there's no reason, Eddie, why it can't be done at the same time. For example, my own case, my last surgery 5 years ago, with Dr. Wong, I had 700 grafts via FUE, where 100 of the grafts were put into my donor scar, and it worked great. Mm-hmm. Like I just released a video, I think on Monday Monday, where I showed the result of that, and I'm combing through my hair. You can't see the donor scar anymore. And in fact, since that video, it's kind of funny. Someone in the comments section said, "Okay, great, now do a fade cut." Well, I actually did do a fade cut. You can, I don't know if you can see the camera, but I'm turning around. Like, there's my haircut. I don't know if you can see the camera, but I'm turning around.
Let me see. Okay, I see it.
And on the sides, you can see like the direction of the hair direction change, not the scar itself, but in the back, you can't see my scar, and it's about a 1 guard.
But you're an anomaly. I don't have that. What you got? Mine's a
No. I'm not an anomaly in where I had FUE put into my donor scar and it made a difference. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about my strip surgeries. I'm talking about putting hair into my FUE scar. And I did that at the same time that I had FUE into my crown to add some coverage and density. So that's my point. You don't need to wait to do one before you do the other. That's 2 surgeries. Whereas you do one surgery, say you get your 1,000 grafts, take 100 of those or whatever the doctor determines is necessary. You don't need 1,000 grafts in your donor scar. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
At most, a couple hundred. Like the entire occipital scar line for myself took 100 grafts. So if you need it all over your, like if you have a scar like mine, it's above ear to ear, like mine go kind of forward of my ears, that might be 300 total. Most people don't need that.
Okay. And you had a small scar. Mine's a little wider than yours from what I noticed.
Maybe, yeah. Granted, I mean, the point being is that you might be able to get it done at the same time. Like I don't know how much you need, and the doctor would be the one to determine that. Like I have no idea what you need. Yeah. I'm just giving you an example that it's not going to tap things out to do both. Because with FUE, it's like you don't have to worry about the laxity. You can get what you need at the same time.
Yeah. So I think that was another option. So I can do that. That's what I was supposed to do. Yeah. That's what I was supposed to do. And it was supposed to be anywhere from 800 to 1,200 altogether grafts for all of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that sounds reasonable. But
now I got to find a doctor.
And if you do want to split it up, that's also fine too. But my point being is that you don't have to wait to do both. Like scars, FU into scar is such a small adjunct to what's going on that it can usually be added to a larger procedure. So I just wanted to get that out there, just so you understand it.
And I think
do what you want. Like I'm not pushing you.
No, it's because I'm coming from a place of fear where I'm like, okay, just let's do a little, so I can still have some more reserves in case they screw up. It's just that mindset because the PTSD. Right?
I totally get it.
Yeah,
I totally get it. Which is why maybe your next surgery could maybe be just for the scar itself.
Yeah.
You ever think of that?
But if
deal with that first because that gives you more freedom.
But if I did that,
go ahead.
If I did that though, I want to make sure because see if they do an FUE, it's in the future for the front, for the top. You want to make sure that however much hair they put in the scar area, you don't want to make it too dense where it's disproportionate to when they do the FUE for the top. I want it to they have to calculate in advance.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
How much to space it out?
That's not. Yeah, they're going to do a lower density into the scar because they don't need to do any more. Like they're not trying to match the density of the hair above and below the scar. That's not the goal. It's just to put. All they're doing is putting in a low density pass of grafts into the scar to break up the pattern that you can see from bare scar tissue. Right? Because when you have a scar, you have a clear delineation between scar and hair above and below the scar line. But if you scatter and pepper some hair in there, then there's no longer this clear delineation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Define delineation just to make sure we're on the same page.
There's not a demarcation. There's not a clear difference between scar line and hairline.
Okay, so you don't. Okay, so I mean that'd be amazing if I can get that, but
Yeah.
It's
just a scattering of hair. That's all it takes. Assuming it grows, it makes a huge difference.
And you recommend going to Dr. Wong for that?
I don't recommend any specific doctor for that. What I recommend, I don't do that. But what I do recommend is that you find a doctor that has that kind of experience, and talk to them about it. I mean, it's not rocket science. Like you find a doctor that says they can do something, and then you question them why they say they can do it, based on visual evidence. Like, do you have cases that you can show me, that you can talk about, that you can explain to me where this has been a benefit, that where it has worked out? You're looking at one right now, like if you're talking about Dr. Wong, but it doesn't have to be Dr. Wong. Like it can be any doctor I work with can do this. It's not rocket science. FUE is FUE. You know, the challenge with that has mainly been overcome, you know, with the right tools, the right approach. You can extract the grafts and they're going to survive. And you're placing it into scar tissue. You're not going high density in the scar tissue. You're just making incisions. Hopefully it'll match the angle and direction of the neighboring hair so that it blends in and breaks up the visual of your scar. Yeah. That's what you're looking for. So Dr. Wong's great for that. You know, Dr. Hughes at Al Vermani is great with that. Dr. Shapiro's great with it. Like Dr. Sean Banham, you know, he's great with that. Someone might even talk to you about using body hair, like beard hair grafts or chest hair grafts, things like that, to preserve your scalp donor. You have options, you know?
Okay. So, and the people on your website are all qualified to do that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And then some of them from the IHRS website, I would assume.
Well, so everyone I work with is IHRS, so yeah, they're all IHRS.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, I'll get my work cut out for this week. All right, let's get to start.
All right, brother. Good luck.
All right.
Thank you for bringing this situation to our attention.
Yeah.
And
I didn't.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to just make it sound like he's like I didn't want to talk down about the company or anything. Just that particular thing has to be addressed and remedied. You know, people are there to spend tens of thousands of dollars. You can't even call them. You know, for whatever reason.
It's heavy. I don't fully grasp it. I don't know what the fuck is going on, to be honest with you. And I'm glad you brought it to my attention.
It really pissed me off. And I had to just be patient. I was like, okay, just be patient. It's going to work out. She might be really overwhelmed and busy or something. I don't know what it is. But for a whole week of that nonsense, I just couldn't take it anymore. And then and to end it with like, oh, sorry, we can't help you anymore because Dr. Cooley won't do it. For whatever reason. It's like, let me explain what I needed to get done. So, all right, I said my part. So hopefully, it'll be a learning experience for everybody, and they'll fix that situation. So nobody else in the future has to deal with it. Excuse me. Guys, thank you so much.
All right, brother. Listen, good luck.
Yeah, I hope you feel better. Get well, man.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Just allergies. Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
That's what he thinks now. That's what they put down on his tombstone, just allergies.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding, brother. That's actually my line when I'm not feeling well or whatever. And they're like, you're fine. It's not a problem. Yeah, put that on my tombstone.
He was fine.
He was fine. Hold on for one second.
Here lay Spencer Kobren. He was fine.
Yeah. They said he was fine.
He said he was fine.
Hold on. I'm making reservations.
God, there's so many jokes I could go with that one.
Not for a hooker.
But I won't. No, I won't.
Around here, you don't have to reserve that. Just go over to the
By the
hotel
way,
down
people
the road.
watching this, we need some more likes in this broadcast. We went for the full 2 hours, even though we started late, and I only got 21 likes. Is it 21? Like, that's bullshit, people. Come on. 23 likes. Okay, that's better. But we got some drama here today. Had some good calls. Hit that like button, peoples. And by the way, video coming out, I don't know what day exactly. Hopefully Monday, but who knows what the weekend will have for me. I'm hoping I can do a bunch of editing to get this done. But if not Monday, then definitely next week. Got a new video coming out, introduce a new doctor. And let's see what else is going on. That's all I got for the short term. Maybe some new episodes of the main event. Might have some new doctors to talk to. Actually, I will. trying to work that out. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe. My subscribers are jumping. That's nice. I like to see that continue.
Jumping
so if you're watching this broadcast, well, you'd think so. But subscribe and ring the bell for all notifications, because sometimes we don't know when we're going live and never know when a new video is coming out. So you want to know that. You want to get notified of that. So you ring the bell, you'll get a notification in your email, or if you're already watching YouTube, it'll pop up on your screen saying, hey, Hair Transplant Channel's got a new video. Click over to it.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do, honestly. I mean, yeah, I could just work out all day and, go to the pool, make some phone calls, do the show with you on Friday, do some live Instagrams. Or maybe I should start interviewing, like, well-known people with hair loss. I have some options to do that, but then I kind of think that's a lot of pressure as far as, like, having to continue doing that.
There's nothing wrong with pressure. Man up.
No. I dealt with it. I've done all that shit, man. I'm going to be 59 soon. I was retired.
Do it again.
I was essentially retired for a long time. The thing about the online world is, like, if I decide to say, hey, you know what, I want to go back on the radio, maybe I'll do a weekend program where I just talk to celebrities or people who have already come out about their hair loss. And I had a producer and a PR person contact them, and there are people who'd want to come on and talk about it, especially if it was something that was promoted well and they had something to promote. But once you start doing that shit online, now I'm not saying it's going to take off like wildfire, but if it does, then there's a tremendous amount of pressure to continue to do it. I know it's a high-class problem.
First world problem. Yeah.
But I can't take advertisers. That's also another problem. At least in the hair space. So I can't do that shit on YouTube because they just run ads. So I can't do that for what I do. That's the platform that gets the most eyeballs right now. Can't necessarily go over to Rumble because people see that as some sort of like a political move, unfortunately, which is insane.
Exactly. I have an account there, and we are I think we're broadcasting simultaneously. Like it's piping over there as well, I think. But yeah, like there's no way I'd go straight over to Rumble. Like
that's
it's
unfortunate,
No, I know. It is unfortunate. Like unless they offered us a deal or something. But here's the thing. You could accept advertising because you look at some of the shows out there, they're advertising all kinds of shit that has nothing to do with what they're talking about.
Well, that's fine. That type of advertising
Expressed
is fine.
VPN.
But the problem is when you're going through a platform like YouTube, for instance, they try to reach your demo. And if you look at your ads, I'm sure there's hair ads all over the fucking place.
That kind of, okay, yeah, that's different. That's stuff that you can't really control. I thought you were talking about like sponsorship ads, like you see on some podcasts, like ExpressVPN or.
No, I would do I would do a straight underwriting
meat
situation.
delivery.
Maybe I would combine it with a book or something. That's what I would have to do in order to get this done. It's kind of like starting over. I think about it. I was as I'm kind of fix my sound on the fly and talk to you guys, and I'm watching the chat and listening to the calls, which I appreciate. I'm just thinking, I don't know if I can keep doing this shit. Like, if I do it, I want to do it at a different level again, to the point where it's like, all right. I hope that doesn't sound obnoxious. I almost just like the kind of
not in the least.
No, almost like the one-way communication of like old school one-way communication of radio.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get your calls. You're not kind of like involved with the chat, and then you turn off your microphone and you kind of go. But this shit just stays on there for a long time, and people like scrutinize every advertiser, shit like that. So I just have to be ultra careful. That's all. That's kind of what I'm saying. If I decide to move in that direction, I have to be ultra careful Right now, it's just kind of like, great, we throw up some shit, get a few thousand downloads, which is great. We're helping people. We're changing their lives. We're absolutely changing the trajectory of these people's lives. We're still getting shit for it.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine if it's 100,000 people, and we're hurting more people's pocketbooks than we are right now. Because I was in that position, and that wasn't fun.
I think we won't know until we actually try.
Fuckers.
I'd like to find out.
Well,
it'd be nice to have that problem.
I was in that position, and it wasn't fun. It was a really ugly place to be. And when your face is out there and you're doing it online, and it's a different thing. You're dealing with a lot more ugliness. It's not just ugliness from those who feel you're taking money out of their mouths because they're scamming people or they're disparaging people. But now you got possibly an entire country is going to be on our ass if we make a move to make things bigger. I told you the shit that I'm already getting from some, alleged Turkish hair transplant doctors just for, maybe pointing out someone's bad hairline.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
The whole thing's ridiculous. So
anyway.
Well, might as well make some money.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Joe wants the money. Joe wants the money.
It's time. It's time.
The Oscar Schneiders of hair loss. Schindler's. Oh, that's funny. I can't read.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We certainly are. Oh, yeah. It's time to become Drunk Spencer. Dude, that Drunk Spencer's dead. That's over.
Drunk Joe's dead. That's for sure. On call. Thanks for the comment. Joe's crown video was excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Mike Pedroza, you're saying my hair is looking clean or on point or something like that. Appreciate that. I do like the shortcut sometimes. Decided to do it this week.
It makes you look younger.
See how long? I think so.
More youthful, I should say.
Trim my beard crazy.
Not that you need to look younger, but just more youthful. How's that?
Youthful. Sprightly. I'll take that.
Sprightly
All right.
It's kind of funny.
6 o'clock. 6:01. We're done.
Okay. Joe says we're done. You see, and that's another reason why I got to kind of do something else. All right, guys. Until next time. Be strong.
Joe's always shutting us down.
Yeah. God bless. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Take care.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.